I never thought the day I bought my dream car would be the day I effectively ended my relationship with my entire family. But when I walked out into the driveway and saw my younger sister, Chloe, sitting in the driver's seat of my brand new, metallic charcoal sedan with my parents cheering her on, I knew the bridge wasn't just burning. I was the one holding the matches. My father had the audacity to look me in the eye and tell me that family shares, while dangling the keys he had stolen off my dresser, completely unaware that the car he was gifting away didn't technically belong to me anymore in the way he thought it did. I had seen the writing on the wall weeks ago and took legal precautions that they never saw coming, and now I'm sitting here wondering if I went too far or if this was the only way to finally break free from their entitlement. Have you ever been pushed so far by your own blood that you had to resort to legal warfare just to keep what you earned? Was I the villain for letting them fall into the trap I set? Or was I just protecting myself from a lifetime of being their personal piggy bank? To understand how we got to that driveway, you have to understand the dynamic of the Miller household. I'm the oldest, the responsible one, the one who worked 2 jobs through college and saved every penny, while Chloe was the free spirit who dropped out of 3 different programs because they were too stressful. My parents, David and Susan, have always operated on a policy of forced equity. If I got an A, Chloe got a participation gift, so she wouldn't feel bad. When I got my first real corporate job with a signing bonus, my mom immediately called to ask if I could loan Chloe $3,000 for a spiritual retreat in Bali. I said no, of course, and I was treated like a cold-hearted miser for months. They truly believe that because we are a family, my individual success is a community resource. I've spent years watching them drain my small savings accounts or borrowing my laptop and giving it to Chloe because she needed it more for her art. I finally moved out a year ago, thinking the distance would create boundaries, but the entitlement followed me like a shadow. The car situation started when my old beat-up SUV finally gave up the ghost. I had been saving for 3 years to buy something reliable, something nice that I could actually be proud of. I did my research, negotiated like a hawk, and finally walked onto the lot to pick up a top-of-the-line sedan. It was the biggest purchase of my life. I made the mistake of mentioning it during a Sunday dinner, and the room went silent. Chloe's eyes lit up, and my mom immediately said, "Oh, that's perfect. Chloe's car is making that rattling noise again, and she's been so scared to drive to her part-time job at the gallery. This will be such a load off her mind." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, but my father's face was dead serious. He told me that since I lived downtown and could take the train, I didn't really need a brand new car, and that it would be a great gesture of sibling love to let Chloe use it during the week. I told them flat out that it wasn't happening. I paid for it, I insured it, and it was mine. The pressure didn't stop. They called me every day guilt-tripping me, telling me I was selfish, and reminding me of everything they had ever done for me. It got so bad that I started to get paranoid. I knew my dad still had a spare key to my apartment from when I moved in. I realized that they weren't going to take no for an answer. They truly felt they had a right to my property. That's when I decided to get smart. I have a close friend, Marcus, who is an attorney specializing in private contracts. I told him the situation, and he helped me set up a very specific, very legal arrangement. I sold the car for a nominal fee to a private holding company I had established for my freelance consulting work. Legally, the car was a corporate asset, not personal property. Furthermore, I drew up a strict usage agreement that stated only authorized drivers, specifically me, were covered by the high-end commercial insurance. Most importantly, I had Marcus file a preemptive notice of non-permission regarding my family members. I didn't tell them any of this. I just brought the car home and parked it in my driveway, waiting for the inevitable. So, that is the trap I set, and I knew they would walk right into it because they never respected my no before. I had documented every text and every voicemail where they threatened to take the car for Chloe's own good. I was backed into a corner where I had to choose between being a doormat for the rest of my life or teaching them a lesson they would never forget. Before I tell you about the absolute explosion that happened when the police showed up at my parents' house, I want you to pause and think about this. Would you ever go to these lengths to protect your property from your own parents? Am I a monster for legally trapping them, or is this just what happens when boundaries are ignored for 20 years? Drop a comment right now and let me know if I'm the jerk here, because my phone is currently blowing up with insults from every aunt and cousin I have. The morning it happened, I was at my apartment when I got a notification on my phone. My car's GPS showed it was moving. I hadn't given anyone the keys. I checked my security camera feed and saw my father walking into my driveway with his spare apartment key, entering my home, taking the car keys off the hook, and driving away while waving to my neighbor. He didn't even try to hide it. He thought he was doing something noble. I didn't call him. I didn't text him. I called the police and reported the vehicle stolen. I also called the repo service associated with my holding company. I drove my old bike over to my parents' house about an hour later. When I arrived, the scene was like something out of a movie. The car was parked in their driveway with a giant red bow on the hood. Chloe was screaming with joy, taking selfies with her new car, and my mom was crying about how generous the family was being. When they saw me, my dad walked up with a smug grin and said, "Look, we decided to make the executive decision for you. We'll pay you a couple $100 a month when we can, but Chloe needs this more. Don't be a spoilsport." I didn't say a word. I just pointed down the street where 2 police cruisers and a flatbed tow truck were pulling up. The confusion turned to panic quickly. I told the officers that my car had been taken without my consent. My father started yelling that he was my father and it was a family matter. But I pulled out the incorporation papers and the notice of non-permission. I explained to the officers that this was a corporate-owned vehicle and that the individual who took it had committed grand theft auto and breaking and entering. The color drained from my father's face when the officer told him to put his hands behind his back. My mother was hysterical, screaming that I was ruining the family over a hunk of metal. I told them it wasn't about the car, it was about the fact that they thought they owned me. The car was hooked up to the tow truck while Chloe sat on the curb crying because her gift was being hauled away. I didn't press full charges in exchange for my father signing a legal confession of the theft and a restraining order that bars them from my property. The fallout has been nuclear. My parents are telling everyone I'm a sociopath who put his own father in handcuffs. They've been cut off from my life completely, and for the first time in 24 years, I feel like I can breathe. I have my car, I have my peace, and I have a clear message to anyone who thinks family is a license to steal. I learned that day that some people only understand boundaries when they are enforced by the law. At the end of the day, I didn't want to hurt them, but I had to stop the cycle of being used. If you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will, even if the people you're standing up to are the ones who raised you. It's a hard lesson to learn, and it's a lonely one, but I'd rather be alone in my new car than surrounded by people who don't respect me. Like this video if you think I did the right thing by setting those legal boundaries. And subscribe if you want to hear more stories about people finally getting the justice they deserve. Do you think I should have just let it go for the sake of family peace? Or was this the wake-up call they needed? Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.